JCPS families crossing their fingers for a smoother first day of school than last year. The school district's new transportation plan has been on top of mind for so many for months now. And the school district's trying to figure out how to get the students to school. This morning we asked a parent about how they thought today would go.
Wildly apprehensive, borderline the shakes, because I want very much to believe and I trust JCPS very much, but also there's only so much you can do with the resources they've been allotted. So I really wasn't believing anything until we were here and they were on the bus and it was still Thursday.
And while it did seem to go smoother this morning for the bus riders, the car riders saw most of the disruptions on their first day. The carpool line appears to be the big headline tonight.
And to break down how that first day went, former JCPS school board member Sam Corbett joining us on the set. Sam, thanks for being here. You said that you drove by several schools today and saw these carpool lines.
I literally experienced it in the last 20 minutes riding down to the station, particularly in front of Chenoweth Elementary on Brownsboro Road, where the cars were lined up as far as I've ever seen them. Actually, more than a mile, I would suggest.
Wow.
Some breaking news that we had here. If you missed WHS 11 News and 5, the JCPS school board chairman, Corey Scholl, was right here exclusively with us talking about the first day. He had been in a carpool rider line 2 hours for his own daughter, but he also said he believes the last student will be dropped off before 7:30 tonight, which is what JCPS had stated publicly, and he's giving this an overall B+ so far. What do you think about that 7:30 drop-off?
Well, that would be obviously much better than last year. If people will recall, it was as late as 10 o'clock for some children last year. So that would be super if we can get the 7 to 7:30 time frame as far as the last child. But we do have to remember that that child was dismissed from school at about 4:20. So we still got some work to do. We have to figure out some solution as it relates to the car traffic, because the buses are working really well today. That's what I'm hearing. It's the thousands of cars because people either the bus is no longer available to them, or perhaps they don't have a lot of faith in the bus system and they chose to drive their kids to school.
And it certainly seems like we need those TARC bus drivers that they are negotiating with to come in about 3 weeks' time, but we could certainly use them earlier. Don't you agree?
Definitely. And we've heard JCPS, we've heard Dr. Polio and other folks talk about if they can find more drivers, they obviously would add routes to take some of the burden off of the families and the parents in the community.
Does the community need to get used to this? You're taking a look at video. We just showed video over New Middle School of the long lines, that this is really going to become the headline of this back to school. In fact, this is really a change from what people have been used to for decades at JCPS, the cars.
Right. I think we have to accept this on the short term, and I would define that at least say this first semester between now and the end of the calendar year. People need to get used to it. And that might mean that sometimes you're sitting there for, as Dr. Scholl experienced, 2 hours, hour and a half. And that's on the one end. You also have the, the morning session. So will people accept that? Will the community accept the fact that I have to allocate 90 minutes on the front end, 90 minutes on the back end, people working, all the things going on? I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm going to say that I think people are going to say we've got to do something else, because traffic at this time of day, from 4 to 5 is already backed up in areas where you were talking about Brownsboro Road, and you add the carpool lines out on the road, that's a problem.
Connie, I was heading actually the opposite way. I was not in the lane that was trying to pull into the school. I still had to cut through some neighborhoods to get around because people were trying to merge over 4 lanes to get into the school.
You have pointed out, though, that this back to school really started with a low bar after even the superintendent called it the transportation disaster.
Right. Dr. Polio told us the last day of school in the spring that he guaranteed we would have a better opening this year than we had last year. Well, not to be too cynical, but that's a pretty low bar compared to what we had last year.
So Corey Scholl gave it a B+. What's the Sam Corbett
I'm going to
grade?
give it a B to be totally fair. They've still got some issues to work out, and we've got to figure out what works, because I don't know how long parents and families are going to accept this kind of traffic issue that they're dealing with. But obviously much better than last year, and clearly not the disaster that we experienced a year ago.
Yeah, certainly. We hope no child will be out looking to get home at 10 o'clock at night.
Right, but
that's
we're all
sure.
closely watching. What time is that last child dropped off tonight?
Yeah.
Big focus. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.